right, welcome to the show, everybody. I am so excited today. You're listening to Nicksology, and we are coming to you live from the American Distilling Institute convention going on right here in San Diego this year at the Town and Country in Mission Valley. As always, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter, Nicksology SD, the website, the live stream. But like I said, we're here at the ADI convention. I'm so excited to be here, guys. We have Bill Owens, who's the founder of the ADI, Andrew Faulkner with us, and I'm sorry,
John Little.
John Little, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well.
Excellent. So yeah, I already got I got to sneak a taste of some of those Swedish spirits over there, which are absolutely amazing. Hello, Henric. And but yeah, so I'm really excited to be here, guys. So Bill, tell us a little bit about how all this got started.
Let's see. Which story do you want me to tell?
Well, we got time. Tell them all.
Let's see. I can exaggerate one of the stories you want.
Sure.
Okay. I'll start with the second story. I'd driven across America once. I'd sold my brewery. I was Buffalo Bill's brewery. I sold my brewery. I had some money left over, and I decided I said to my kids, "You want any of this money?" And they said, "No, Dad, it's yours." You know. And so I said, "Okay, I'm going to go spend it."
Oh, those are good.
So
kids.
I drove. Well, it wasn't that much. I drove across America and came back. And I noticed that I'd been a brewer, and there was an association of brewers, but there's no trade association for distillation. So I'm hanging out in the typical coffee shop with the kid with the long hair who's reading the real estate book on how to flip property.
Okay.
And I said, watch this, I know what to do. I just got out, went and got my car, went to the courthouse, and for $20 you do your DBA, and I made it the American Distilling Institute Education LLC, and then you go on the internet, you get your federal ID number, get your state license, and then you go to the bank, and you put $100 in the bank, and now you have a business with no income.
Right.
And so I said,
this was in 2003, right?
Yeah, and so I said, well, what I'll do is I'll have a trade show. I'll have a meeting. But there was no internet then either. So you just type letters to people, and you've found out there's a few wine distilleries around, and there's a distillery in Alameda. So I went over to see York, and I said, can I have a meeting here of the other distilleries? He said, oh, yes, I've known of Clear Creek up in Oregon for 4 or 5 years now. I've never met him. So I said he would come down. So we knew Clear Creek would come. Then there's Osagalis, another brandy distiller down near Santa Cruz. He said he would come. And so I'm looking at the space, and I said about the mailing list, I don't know, 70 or 80 people, and about 40 people said they would come to this meeting on a Saturday. And so I sort of looked at the room, and I said, 40, well, I'll go rent tables and chairs. So I rented tables and 70 chairs. And we filled up the room, and lo and behold, the room filled up. And then in the back, there's one guy who's still a curmudgeon. That's Dan Flauber, standing up, raising his hand, asking hard questions. And he's a great distiller. And we had 85 people at the first meeting.
Now, I was going to say, do you know when you started this how many craft distilleries there were in the U.S.?
I put together. No, I published at that time American Brewer magazine, and I did find recently a article I wrote about distilleries, and I think there was about 40 that I could find. Because there's no Googling. You just had to hear from somebody that heard about, like in upstate New York was 2 or 3 people. But those people are not really in the craft distilling business, or they own a German still and they make some eau de vie, and they're not interested in marketing or being part of any community.
Right, they just do it locally there.
Yeah.
So, but since then it's exploded, obviously.
But you got to remember, I'm a brewer, and I just knew that the marriage of brewing and distilling is a natural, because we're creating wash, and the wine guys are already there. And now, how do we make it into, the internet has to come along, and where you can communicate to more and more people, so that your next meeting you go from 85 to 150 people, and you have vendors, because what's critical is that every vendor here is paying a couple grand to have that space.
Right.
Well, my first vendor, it was like 4 sites from Scotland showed up, and right behind the speakers they put up their big banner, 4 sites, so every photograph that's taken shows their banner, which pisses off all the other guys. They don't have
that's
their
perfect for them, though.
Yeah, well, that's the Scots for you. So you begin to sort out who the players are and build it, but more important, you invite people to come to sessions. and this is where Drew comes in, is we talk about people in the industry that we've read about, and who do we want to come and talk. It's like, why I drove down and visited these distilleries around the country again this year, is you got to walk in that door, and when you see that rick, and you see 1,000 barrels that are laid down there, and the rick's painted black, so the sun heats that sucker up. The people have thought this process through, and it makes for, it's in our DNA, quite frankly.
Right. So how many distilleries would you say there are now nationally?
Now, the list is very screwy, and it's regulated by TTB.
Yep.
And I think it's like 2,800. Is that the real numbers, I think?
Well, there's, how do you define a distillery? Is it somebody who has a license? Is it somebody who
it's true, because it's changing a lot. You mentioned brewing before, and in San Diego
released a spirit, that has a bottle that you can buy.
But I think there's real craft distillers. I want to say there's 1,000 of them that are mashing and creating real stuff, but there's lots and lots of people buy NGS and make gin. Lots of people do all kinds of other stuff because it's a free society. If you want to do it, fine. I'm just not you. Or you can make a simple phone call and co-pack. I can buy whiskey for somebody, put my name on it, and go sell it.
Right. I think a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of stuff out there is.
You're not going to stand up on my stage and talk. We're going to have John Little and other people be on my stage who harvest the grain. And go through the whole real process. They're not buying their spirits from somebody else.
Right.
Well, if they do buy some, they're blending it and they're honest about it.
Right. Yeah. No, there's a lot of that out there. I think people don't realize, sometimes, the world of rye whiskey, there's a ton of rye whiskeys on the market, but they all come from basically the same place, right?
Right.
So, yeah, that's kind of cool. So how many people are attending this year? I mean, it seems like it's kind of exploded.
I think 2 days ago we had 1,200 paid, so probably it's a total of 1,300 to 1,400 paid for the whole conference. Then we'll probably have 300 walk-ins, and then there's 144 booths, and usually 3 people per booth. So I'm saying it's 2,000 people.
Yeah, no, and it's awesome. I only had a few minutes to walk the floor in there, but there's some really cool stuff in there. And the breakout sessions are great. And I understand you guys are also doing events off-site at distilleries as well, right? Some of the local distilleries.
Yeah. We had workshops all over San Diego. We were doing gin down at Kill Devil. We had a lovely 3-day whiskey at Old Harbor.
At Old Harbor, right.
Yeah, Malahat Spirits hosted a rum workshop for us. White Labs is doing a fermentation workshop.
I heard about the White Labs thing, yeah. So tell us more about that one. That's still coming up, right? Because that's really interesting. It's cool. I don't think people realize how much yeast affects the outcome of spirits.
Well, quite simply, good distillation begins with good fermentation.
Right.
So they have the yeast, and they worked very closely with Yusuf over at Ballast Point when he was first doing beer and then formulating his spirits. And they have an incredible setup over there, scientific labs. And there was a workshop there yesterday, and there's another workshop on Thursday. It's just fermentation intensive. Learn to control your yeasts and make the good stuff to distill into even better whiskey.
Right. Very, very cool.
Or gin or vodka.
And we were talking about there's people from all over the world here now too, right?
We have Henric.
Henric's here
from Sweden.
Yeah.
We've got Peter Bignell from Tasmania.
Yeah.
And
that's awesome.
It's fun to brag. I have a friend who's a sheep farmer. He's got 2,000 sheep. He's not a hobbyist. It's serious.
Right.
But also he malts his own grain, and he has a real still, and he's making some pretty damn good whiskey.
Very cool. So, if people want to come down and just walk the exhibit floor, I mean, so even just me as an enthusiast, I think it'd be pretty cool to come check out the stuff down there. Is that possible for people to do?
Absolutely, yes. Okay. We do have a vendor expo floor only pass for 120, but I think we can give away some passes through the radio station, Bill.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. All right. Cool. Yeah. We'll do that. We'll post that up on our Facebook if anyone wants to do that.
Yeah.
Right after the show, I'll post everything up. But
it opens at 9:30 in the morning.
Okay. Yeah. So it's today and tomorrow, right? So they'd have to come tomorrow.
Yeah.
But like I said, I walked the floor and it's really cool in there, just seeing all the copper and everything. Okay. Yeah.
Like
we'll
5
do 5.
passes?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
We'll do that. We'll put them up and give them away.
Great.
Yeah, very cool. I'm looking forward to tasting some spirits. So, wow, I got lost there for a second.
I just want to say that
Go ahead.
the way it's going, this morning I read a list of attendees from 13 countries.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I was talking about that and I got sidetracked.
We're global now, and the ideas are coming out of America on the entrepreneurial attitude that you can build a still and you can make a living or you can, pardon me, I shouldn't say build, you can own a distillery and make a living, where in textbooks on jobs, there's no job for a distiller.
Right.
And there's no, you're creating a whole new business opportunity. Then these ideas, I think there's 60 distilleries in Canada now. There's about 100 in the UK. There's 60 in Australia. They're all over. They're popping up.
It never occurred to us growing up that spirits were made. They were just something that magically appeared on supermarket shelves.
Shelves, right.
It's like the fact that you could start a distillery, that you could be the one making that. Nobody knew it happened. Nobody knew it was just magic before.
Well, and San Diego's an interesting place for that too, because so doing this show, I've learned a lot. We have over 125 breweries in this town now.
It's huge.
It's crazy. And then so there's probably, I think, 8 distilleries right now.
And
but I heard the other day because I think you guys probably know, right? The law recently changed in California for craft distillers.
Yeah.
74.
Yeah. So I heard the other day that there are 40 applications just in San Diego County right now for distilleries.
Explain to them that's
it's kind of crazy.
allowing you to open a distillery and have a tasting room and sell the alcohol directly. That's the future, selling it direct to the customer.
It's a huge thing for California.
I was out at San Diego Distillery in Spring Valley just yesterday, and Trent there, he got his Type 74 license. He says and he hasn't even had it a month. He said he's recouped all his investment in his distillery.
Oh, really?
Just selling bottles out of his distillery.
That's amazing. I was talking to the Malahat guys too, and that's just been working really well for them. Yeah,
he was having a rye whiskey workshop out there. Real nice. It's a good place.
Yeah, no, it's great to see that happening. I mean, we used to work with a Bend distillery in Oregon, and the laws up there were a lot more progressive. And then now it's finally California seems to lag behind everyone. I don't know. Drives us
not true.
It drives us crazy.
Not
well, it depends. Well, it depends.
The revolution started here. This is where the first craft distilleries were. It's California.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
We have Governor Brown. We don't have any crazy presidential people running.
Well, that's true. That's true. All right. Well, let's take a break. Let's take our first break, and then when we come back, we'll start trying some different spirits. We have 3 different distillers coming up in the show, so stick around, and we'll be back right after this. All right. Yeah. Awesome.
You need me to stay around?
Do you want to stay on the whole hour?
No.
Okay. I'll hang around.
Sure.
Do you want to sit here, or do you want to jump over?
Wait a minute, I'm going to tell you, give me a shot of whiskey.
Yeah. John, did you bring stuff to taste?
I don't have a bottle.
Okay.
Do we go grab one now? I have one in my room.
We can put Henric on the next segment.
That's fine with me.
Yeah, go grab a bottle.
Okay, great.
Okay, cool.
Then I'll come back and taste yours, John, in about 20 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, it's just 1,700. Yeah.
That was the light, right? This is Aquavit. Aquavit? Yeah.
So it's actually,
Okay, Aquavit's made from...
it's vodka base flavored with caraway and dill and Swedish.
So far, so good?
It's almost... Also, I love the fact you do...
Yeah. I got lost there for half a second. I'm glad he brought me back to the international thing, because that's what I was trying to talk about.
Just
I'm
worked
tired.
out.
We did Padres opening day yesterday.
Oh yeah.
I'm exhausted. It's a long day.
Yeah, I was going to Old Harbor to pick up some tasting glasses actually yesterday, and I couldn't find a parking space down there to save my life.
Yeah.
I had to park I circled the block for 20 minutes and had to park 6 blocks away.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it was insane, and that's an entertaining walk.
Oh, where Old Harbor is, yeah.
Taste the Aquavit.
Yeah.
What's that?
This is the Aquavit.
Oh, I tried that earlier. Yeah, it's amazing. There.
You can have my...
Hey, Jim.
The Aquavit.
Welcome.
Yeah, go ahead. Put on some headphones.
You want the spirits over with you to install it, whatever?
Sure. That's really good. Yeah.
Let me know when you're going out of commercial.
Yeah.
By the way, John did build his brand on whiskey that he had purchased, but he's one of the people who exercises truth in labeling, and the back of his bottle says distilled in any, and he does not claim to try and distill his whiskey.
Right.
He is distilling. He has a still. He makes gin. He makes whiskey of his own. So I just
I totally I think I mentioned you before, because I own 619 Vodka too, and we actually started with Bend producing the product for us.
Yeah,
so that's what we were doing at the beginning, and it said we were same thing, produced by Bend Spirits.
Yeah, I know Jim Bendis.
And then we just moved all of our production to San Diego now, so we're doing it all here from scratch. This last year, but that's really, and
Are you producing out of McKay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're producing with McKay.
Yeah. Henry Price was trying to hunt you down. You know him?
Okay,
You know
no,
Henry?
I don't.
You need to know Henry if you
Okay.
got a brand.
Okay.
He's up in Ramona. HPS Epicurean is his company now, but he's getting his old name back.
Thank you. 1 minute. He used to what?
His business name will be Price Imports.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, we'll talk to him. That'd be cool.
He's around here. I can give you his contact
Yeah, so we're producing
information.
there now, and we're actually looking. I'm hoping they're supposed to be giving us the first draft of the lease this week. I don't know how familiar you are with San Diego, but I'm looking to open a distillery in North Park. So to put it right in the,
okay.
I mean, it'd be kind of like putting in Brooklyn and New York, right in the middle of
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
there's like so the heart of North Park is 30th and University, and on 30th Street, there's 5 breweries, 6 breweries.
Oh, man.
I mean, it's right. It's just it's this. So I'm excited about that. If we could do that, we'll put a small still in there and just do a small runs there and the big runs over at McKay.
Yeah.
So
Works?
Yeah, I can hear
me
you.
fine?
All right, welcome back to Nicksology. Like I said earlier, we're broadcasting today live from the American Distilling Institute convention going on down at the Town and Country right here in Mission Valley in good old San Diego. And I mentioned earlier I got a chance to sneak a taste before the show of some really amazing products. Henric Molin is here from Sweden.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. And so I got to try a few different things. First of all, the vodka was amazing, and then aquavit. So I want to talk about all of them, but I want to focus a little bit on aquavit because I don't think, I've heard of it, but I don't really know what it is, and I think our listeners aren't really sure either. We just know it's kind of
we know
a spirit from Europe, that we know about. So tell us about that.
Aquavit's supposed to be the new thing. We've been doing it in primarily Scandinavia for a couple of 100 years. Back in the days, they didn't do really good spirits, so to hide away those flaws or whatever, they added on a lot of flavor to it. And what we had locally in Scandinavia, because Scandinavia is generally Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and we have the same traditions. It was fennel, because fennel is licorice, and licorice is 20 times sweeter than sugar.
Okay.
So if you add something licorice, all of a sudden you don't have to add sugars, and it's sugars or licorice hide a lot of flaws.
Right.
So we had fennel, and we had caraway as a bitter note. So caraway and or dill is the definition by an aquavit, and fennel is the Swedish aquavit.
Right.
So-
And this is really, really good. So when you add those, do you add them in the wash?
Yeah, no, actually not.
Okay.
Most aquavits is made the way that you actually make your spirit. In our case, we actually do the vodka, and we do it all from actually growing the barley, the wheat, to malting, to distilling.
Okay, so it's a barley-based vodka. Okay.
Yeah, and you need to distill it above 96% alcohol.
Right.
So it's way, way up there. And then you cut it back, you macerate it with whatever flavor you want, in this case caraway and fennel. And then you redistill it, so you get a clear something.
Right, okay.
And then, in our case, we mature it, and the reason why it is so good, it's Missouri oak. So the white oak gives it sweetness and balance off those bitter notes.
Okay.
So that's generally the way it's done.
Very
simple.
Cool. And you mentioned too often when we were talking before the program, your vodka is oak aged as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
which is unique, right? I mean, I haven't really heard of people doing that. I mean, I've heard of some big brands calling their stuff oaked, but we won't talk about that.
I mean, there is a tradition in some of the Eastern European companies, like countries,
right.
Of Starka, which is an aged vodka, and one of the things they do in Poland, at least that they in centuries past, if you were upper crust, the baby was born, you took out a barrel, you put some botanicals in it, some lime leaves, whatever, and cinnamon, and you sealed it in beeswax, and you buried it in the backyard. And then
That's amazing.
When the baby grew up, the baby got married, you dug up the barrel, and you served this vodka, this Starka, this aged barreled vodka at the wedding.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Yeah, no, but then the thing I like about this is when I tasted it, it had more flavor than I expected. I expected, sort of a plain, vodka.
This was actually not our plan to do matured vodka from the beginning. The thing was, we wanted to do whiskey, and whiskey and aquavit and eau-de-vie is all the same thing in general, because it's spirit. Whiskey comes from the Gaelic word ishkeba, meaning water of life, as do aquavit or eau-de-vie. But we wanted to do an organic product, so we wanted to, and maturing whiskey, we need to mature it for at least 3 years in Europe. And we couldn't use all new wood because it would be over-oaked in a week.
Okay.
So we wanted second-hand barrels. But being organic, we couldn't have second-hand because whatever been in the barrel prior also needed to be organic certified, and we couldn't get a hold of that. So I thought about it and said, okay, let's just take our vodka, we put it on the new perfect good Missouri barrels, and we extract the worst tannin,
right,
and we get perfect barrel for our whiskey as a second hand. So we actually
so you're making your own second hand barrels,
perfect,
right? And then you control the process.
And then we realized that dark spirit, the oak matured vodka we got out of the cask, that was beautiful, but a bit stingy. So we redistilled that, and we came up with, we got a sweet vodka,
right?
With a lot of
flavors. It is sweet, and it tastes, and it has a lot of flavor in it too.
So unlike some of the major big multinational brands that add a lot of sugars or whatever to there, we don't have to, because the oak vanillin and all those oak lactone gives it sweetness.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. Very cool. And then you mentioned the whiskey too, which I want to talk about. So because I tried some of that this morning. So it's very much in the style of a Scotch, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And is that a traditional thing, or is that something you guys are doing? I mean, in Scandinavia, or are you guys kind of?
I would say generally all whiskies from Europe, mostly without doubt, is very traditional.
Okay.
And this is a bit new touch to it, and that do with the barrel aging. We play music for our cask to make them behave or whatever. You raise your cask. It's elevage, right?
Yes.
You try to bring up your mature spirit to
a child.
Like a child, yeah, like rainwater. So we wanted to do all that, but still. We had a talk here yesterday about different spirit and how we see on it, and the differences between America and Europe. And there's a movement in Europe as well, building new distillers, craft distillers, whatever. But 99% of those are focused on quality assurance, tradition, do as much hands-on as possible. Here as well, but as traditional as possible.
Right.
Boring products, because we've been doing that for centuries.
Well, yeah, if you're going to start a craft distillery and you're going to make something that tastes just like what everybody else makes, what's the point?
It's boring.
Right?
Exactly.
But in America, you have all those guys thinking outside the box. Your problem is compliance and actually get it to be the same every time and consistency. So if we could merge that together, that would be beautiful.
Yeah, I think the cool part about the U.S., and especially, like I said, being from San Diego with 125 breweries, they're all trying to do crazy new things all the time, and now a lot of the guys coming into the on the distillery side, kind of almost like Bill, came from the brewing side, right?
Yeah.
So they're used to doing chocolate, coffee, roasted something, and then they try and take that ethos and bring it to the spirits.
Well, when the movement first started up, the first few craft distilleries were wine people making brandy, and for a long time that was the case until I think Fritz Maytag was probably the first craft whiskey distiller when he when he opened a distillery inside Anchor Brewing in San Francisco.
Right.
And now it is the logical progression up out of beer to whiskey.
And a lot of breweries seem to be doing that too.
Yeah, and I get around to a lot of the cities that have beer reputations,
right?
Like Portland, Denver, Chicago, or Michigan. The whole state tries to lay claim. Let me tell you, San Diego's got them all beat. So we're expecting good things out of San Diego.
Yeah, hopefully.
But that brings us back as well to the mash bill, because you have those fabulous mash bills from your bourbons and your beers and your yeast.
Right.
Looking at most of the distillers in Europe, it's 100% malted barley, nothing else, M-strain yeast, boring.
Right.
In this case, you actually feel the chocolate malt in the whiskey. You can bring in the Banyas yeast or whatever. So you actually you have that movement.
Right, right. Yeah, no, we're even going to try and do, there's a meadery up in Carlsbad called Golden Coast Mead. And they're the first local guys in San Diego making real mead from fresh, locally sourced honey. And I actually had them on the show 6 months ago, and we were talking about how every once in a while they get a bad batch that doesn't work out quite right, and it's not drinkable, but it's distillable. Yeah. so I'm waiting for that. I keep waiting for them to screw up another batch so they can send it to me because I want to try and distill it into a vodka, make a honey based,
Yeah, great.
But yeah, like you said, the mash bills, we have so much we can work with here. So yeah.
Yeah, the thing is, always we wanted to think outside the box. The problem is, some people are so far outside the box, so they've probably lost their box in luggage claim in Dubai. But still, we need to find the box. So we first need to calibrate, say, okay, this is where we are, and then we could apply that to the box and make the box bigger,
right?
Not be just outside.
Right. Yeah, and usually I'm not a big fan of super peaty whiskey, but this is really, really tasty, really good. And then the last two things. So you have these infused vodkas, which I find absolutely amazing. So the one is the Organic Summer Spirit,
yes,
which has apple and.
That's actually our vodka, macerated, infused with apple, rhubarb, and elderflower. Nothing else. And we'll let it rest for a couple of days, and then we distill it off, get a clear spirit, and then we bring it into completely new American Chinca Pinot from Cuba, Missouri, McGinnis Wood. Cloud, and we let it rest, mature, raise up, elevage again for 3 years before we bottle it.
Okay. So. 3 years. Okay. Nice. And then the what's in the winter one?
And then with the winter
Santa
spirit,
Claus in a bottle. You said.
Yeah. I tend to call it. It's Santa Claus on steroids.
Right.
Or your drunk dad. It's Santa all over again. So it's a lot of those gingerbread cookies. It's acacia bark, cinnamon, oranges. Again, macerate the same way. The difference is now we use European oak. European oak is split instead, so it's Quercus robur, in this case from Molin's in Allier, and we'll let it mature, elevage there for 8 years.
Oh wow!
Before we bottle it, so it's 8 years old and. The vodka.
See, so that's the reason I do vodka is I have no patience. I couldn't wait 8 years to try the good stuff, But I'm glad somebody has the patience to make it. Is this stuff available in the U.S. yet?
It will be in autumn. There's some hotels that bring it in, but we're just making our path through. We've had a struggle with actually demand, which is a happy struggle.
Problem. Yeah,
good problem though.
Very good problem to have.
But we sell over 30 countries now. Most of it going the other way. But
yeah. Very cool. I enjoyed every single one of them, and I don't know if we posted it yet, but we took pictures. We'll post it. They have to keep an eye out for this stuff because it's really, really tasty. Especially the aquavit, which like I said, I never had, and I think it's my new favorite. I like it a lot.
Yeah, and I would say for all your international audience, you should come here to America and to ADI to the conference because I've been coming here with Drew and Bill for 8 years or something, and every year, still I've been in the business for 15 years, but I still learn new things, and I hear these beautiful distillers, brewers here, and they think outside the box, and me being a bit European, old-fashioned, whatever, conservative, I could do that. I could twink it a bit, so I actually put new dress on the old guys.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, thanks for coming on, Henric.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. John Little just got back in the room, so we'll take a break, and then we'll try some of his amazing spirit right after this.
All right, what you got there, John? Oh, all right. Let's see.
Really good, man. Yeah.
Those two, the last one there is for drinks.
Yeah, you gotta try that one too. They're so tasty.
They're gonna be on. If you go downstairs to the cocktail, we do a big thing there.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Cool. I didn't make it last year, but yeah, I want to try and get out there.
How long have you been producing them? These products been online since 2008. So we started at
Good?
Good to hear. Yes,
You tried this one? So tasty. I know. So tasty.
It's extremely dry. That's the big difference between a lot of spirits from Europe and from Faulkner.
And then Jim Harrelson will be coming on last, right?
Yeah, Jim
okay.
Harrelson's coming on last.
Cool. The aquavit? Yeah.
Absolutely. When I
I think it was in here.
Denmark, actually, the Netherlands rather. When I went there,
It's aquavit, so basically it's just like infused vodka with fennel and it's really tasty.
Try a little
what they
both of the summer and the
Yeah.
steroids.
because it's a drier, spicier note, they were less aggressive with corn sweetness. They don't like the sweet like that. Yeah, it's staggering to see. It's really staggering.
You get customized to sweetness. It's food, whatever. As we salt or pepper in it, so whatever, it's spicy food. So
This is 100 milliliter. Yeah. These are great little bottles too.
That's a painstaking process right there. This bottle's there, right?
oh, actually, I have a bottle.
What's that?
With the wax too?
No,
Yeah.
the wax is actually done. So we have, when we do full line, we have 6 ladies tipping.
Wow.
We do 1,200 balls an hour.
How long you been in the radio?
Sorry.
How long you been in the radio business?
A year.
A year.
Yeah. I've been doing this 1 year.
College. One of my good college buddies runs a radio station, sports radio in North Carolina.
Okay.
Runs the local station. Been there forever.
Cool. Yeah, no, I was they were talking to me. It's a long story, but I got approached to do this weird podcast thing in LA a couple years ago that was supposed to be all about, they wanted a show all about drinking, but just on, it was going to be like a video podcasting thing, and then that kind of fell through. And then I talked to the guys from ESPN a couple years ago, and he was trying to get me to do it, and finally last. It was about I think I started in May, so it was about a year ago. I finally gave in and said, "All right, we'll do it." And it's cool because I basically get to go on the air and drink for free an hour every week. So, yeah, we usually have on like a brewery and a distillery or a bartender or winery. We do have a bunch of wineries around here, so it's fun.
Can we listen to this after it's live?
I'm sorry?
Go ahead. Thank you.
Can we listen to this recording later? Is it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It'll be on. We'll post it online. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, and as soon as he sends it to us, we'll also send it out on the ADIE newsletter. But I'm sure he'll
Twitter and
Great. Email it to you too.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, let's pour some of that out.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Don't twist my arm. There you go, Nick.
Here we go.
All right, welcome back to Nicksology. We are coming to you live from the American Distilling Institute conference down at the Town and Country in Mission Valley. And we have Andrew Faulkner here with us, and also, of course, Henric Molin from Sweden with these amazing spirits. And we're joined now by John Little from Smooth Ambler Spirits. How's it going, John?
It's going well. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Yeah, thanks for coming on. So I was reading a little bit of the backstory. So, but tell us a little bit about it. What got you into the distilling business and the whiskey business?
Well, my father-in-law and I are in business together. We were trying to find. We live in a real rural area of West
from
Virginia.
Virginia, right? Yeah,
West Virginia.
Yeah, I love it. I'm excited having all these. I only get to talk to people from within like 100 miles. This is great. So
we were trying to add value to where we lived, and we live in a really wonderful place with lots of great people, and we were trying to figure out some ideas of things to do. And my father-in-law saw an article in Time magazine about the growth of the micro distilling business, and it sort of attracted me. He wrote this little smart aleck comment that said, we can do this in your garage. And I Google searched it. I liked the idea, and as it turned out, about 10 days later, there was the ADI conference in Louisville. And that was in
cool.
That was in March 2008. They had their ADI conference in Louisville in April of 2008. Drove over there, about as green as I could be, and And I really just toured a couple of the places, toured a couple of the distilleries, and toured Vendome, who makes the stills.
Right.
And really fell in love with it from a mechanical side, and also I was in the bar business for about 10 years, and so it really just spoke to me, and we worked as hard as we could work to put a business plan together. And in July of 2009, we formed a company, and we opened our doors April 7th, 2010, almost 2 years to the date from when we had the idea, and in about 2 to 3 days here, it'll be our 6-year anniversary of being open.
Wow, awesome. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you.
Congrats. Very cool. So tell us a little bit about what we're drinking right now, because this tastes amazing.
So what you're drinking is Contradiction. So we are a craft distillery that does a lot of craft distilling, so we produce things grain to glass.
Okay.
We've expanded a couple times now, so we've got a pretty big distillery. But we also source spirits from other people, and that's been a big part of our business. So as you discussed earlier in the show, when you talked about rye all coming from mainly one location,
right.
well, most of that comes from Indiana.
Right.
We bought product from Indiana, both bourbon and rye, and we sourced that product for a long time. The difference between us and a lot of people is that we told the truth.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So from the get-go, we've always told people what we do, and those efforts were very different. There were two very different efforts. So Contradiction is sort of our baby. So we always had the stuff we made and the stuff that we sourced, and what we did with Contradiction is we blended those two things together. And the idea of this product was for it to be a marriage of the two that was greater than the sum of its parts. And so we have 27% wheated bourbon from West Virginia that we produce in-house. It says 2 years old, but it's about almost 3 years old now. And then we blend it with 73% low rye bourbon from Indiana that's over 9 years old. So we blend those two together. We put them into another barrel, let them live together, sort of mingle together, and let that old spirit sort of teach that young spirit some stuff. And then after about 3 months, we bring it out, and we bottle it at 99 proof without chill filtration. So you've got a really, you taste a little bit of that youth and that wheated bourbon sweetness
right.
in the beginning, and then you have this nice, long, creamy finish, and then you get the spice from the rye.
Yeah, I definitely can taste the spice from the rye. Yeah.
It makes a great spirit. It's been a huge hit. We're way back ordered on it now, so it's been more successful than we ever imagined, which is a great problem to have. And this is really sort of what we love. So it takes the sourcing, and it takes the manufacturing that we love so much, and then the blending as well.
Very cool. Very, very cool. And this is, like I said, I think it's the first time I've had a blend like this, and I can definitely taste I like the rye finish on it, without it being too in your face,
We love it. When we blended this together, one of the things we loved about it really was the creaminess and that sort of how it coats your mouth. And some of that is because of the grain bill, and a lot of it is because we choose not to chill filter. And another great story about this, not to be kissing up to the ADI, but one of the people who helped us make this blend is somebody that I met at ADI. So Nancy Fraley, who's she's a blender, she's a nosing and sensory analysis person. I met her through ADI, and then when we had these blends, we thought we had what we liked, and we relied on a couple of people in the industry, and Nancy was one of those people. So we sent some samples to Nancy. We had her review those things, and then we tweaked it together as a team and came up with what we have as Contradiction. So it was, without the relationships that we've had through ADI, we'd have never even started, and then we wouldn't have been able to refine a product in the way that we think we have. And this has been it's been a huge success for us. So.
Yeah, very cool. Talk a little bit about that chill filtration and what it does and why you're not using it in this particular product.
Well, we don't chill filter any of our whiskey spirits, any of our whiskey products. We do chill filter gin, mainly because of the proof we bottle it at. But chill filtration is so when you produce alcohol and when you age alcohol, you produce fatty acids and esters and proteins and a variety of other items, and those items are less soluble in water than they are in alcohol. So the further you reduce the proof, the more water you add to the spirit in the bottle, the more likelihood those products are to fall out of solution. And there's nothing wrong with those products, but what happens is it makes a cloudy product. You can see it as little specks, or you can see it as sort of a cloudy product, or you can see sediment in the bottom of the bottle. And almost all the time, those items are what they call flocculation, flock.
Okay.
So the way most people do that is they chill the spirit, and then filter. The easiest way to think about it is...
And chilling it will help take that stuff out of suspension so that it can be filtered?
What it does is think about it this way. It's like sticking chicken noodle soup in the fridge. And what happens, the fat comes to the top.
Right.
So chill filtration is sticking chicken noodle soup in the fridge, right, letting the fat congeal, scraping the fat off. In essence, that's what you do with chill filtration. That's a very rudimentary way to think about it, but that's the way what you think of it as. So what happens is, think of it like the fat in a ribeye, right? It's where the fat is where the flavor is. So when you remove all of those products from the whiskey spirit, you remove mouthfeel. And so if you taste our spirits, all of our spirits are really high proof. So the way we combat that is we do a little bit of a filtration, just a little bit of a paper filtration, and then we raise the proof. So what we do is we keep those spirits or keep those products in solution by raising the proof. So while you have a 99 proof spirit or a 100 proof spirit, one of the things that makes it great is that it doesn't taste hot. I mean, this is a pretty stout product, and it certainly has some heat to it, but it doesn't taste like you're drinking fire, certainly. And one of the things that helps that is that creamy mouthfeel. So the sensation of alcohol burning is not quite the same when you have this big viscous fatty product as you do when you have something that's thin. And so because of that, we bottle at a higher proof so we don't have the necessity to chill filter.
Okay.
And it just makes a more creamy product. And this one is probably the creamiest that we make.
Right. Very cool. Let's talk a little bit about you guys. So you do a lot of stuff in-house, right? And you try and sort of work with regional sourcing for your stuff to do that, correct?
We do. We just came out with a new tour video, which I'm really, really proud of, that really shows that process more so than we have in the past. But all of our products, everything except our malt, so our corn and our wheat, come from the local area. We get some rye. We get a little bit of rye, and occasionally, if we have a supply issue, we get a little bit from the Midwest, but probably 75-80% of our grain all comes from about 25 minutes away. We pay a premium for the grain. We also pay our farmer to clean the grain and to bag the grain, so he has value-added service. So he's making more money by selling grain to us than he would in any other method.
Oh, cool.
So it's enabled him to keep his small family farm alive. We have a great relationship with those guys. All of our spent grain goes to a local farmer who raises cattle, who also has land that he leases to our farmer who grows the grain. So it's this really nice little...
That's really cool.
This great business. So we've expanded a couple times. We used to we started with one pot still, and then we added a second pot still. We got rid of the second pot still, and now we've gone to a continuous column distillation. So in the craft world, I think we're a pretty big size. We produce about 80 full-size barrels a month of distillate.
Oh, wow.
So it's a big deal. It's a lot of money. I know that.
I hear you. So what other products do you produce?
Well, we do vodka and gin. We started off with both of those products when we first started.
Pour myself a little more of this, by the way.
Absolutely. We do a barrel-aged gin. This source whiskey business that we're in, we do called Old Scout. The whole idea is that we scouted out the products.
Oh, okay.
So we have a bourbon. We have some single barrel bourbons. Our single barrel bourbon just won World's Best Single Barrel Bourbon at a big show in New York.
Very cool.
Really wonderful thing for our business.
Yeah.
And we produce weeded bourbon, and we have contradictions. So we're sort of the whole spectrum of what we do. It's maybe a little too much, but when we find something that we're passionate about, we go at it, right?
Right.
And again, we probably make too much stuff.
How was the transition from the pot still to the continuous? And I mean, obviously the growth is what required that, but how did it change what you guys do and how you do it and the learning curve involved, that kind of thing? Talk about that a little bit.
It was steep. When we first got the column still, it's very complicated. So you have to control the feed in, you have to control the spent grain out. You're always controlling steam. So it's really about finding a set point and about maintaining that level of control all the way through. And once you get it up and running, it stays that way for the most part until you stop it. When we bought the still, the guys at Vendome who make these stills said, "Oh, it's way easier than running a pot still." And I thought, you got to be out of your mind, right? What can be easier than running a pot still? But the reality of it is, again, once you take that time to set it up, it just does its thing all day long. We think we're making a spirit that is as good as what we made in a pot, if not better. The majority of bourbon has been made on a continuous column for a while now, but not so much in Europe where they're making a different style of product. But in bourbon, it's mostly on a continuous still anyway. But the volume has been, the increase in speed is amazing. So it used to take us 18 hours to make 2 barrels of whiskey. We'd have to run, strip it one time, time, and then we'd have to do a whiskey run or not a rectification run, but a spirit run.
Right.
Now we basically do 4 barrels in 7 hours. So
oh wow,
it's
okay,
a lot faster.
Right.
But yeah, it's a lot of money, right? So you need more fermenters, and you need a bigger boiler, and you need a bigger chiller, and you need more room to put barrels and barrel racks, and you eat more grain, and you have more waste, and so the product sort of spirals out of or the process sort of spirals out of control, and so does the money you spend.
Well, yeah, because it's not just changing the one thing, right? Like you said, there's a whole infrastructure that goes along with running that continuous column still.
You got it. And so our farmer is tickled to death to have our business, but we're going to use 100% of his grain supply and more.
Oh, really?
He's got a great problem, but we're gonna take everything he produces.
Right.
And so we have to get, like I said, that's a little bit of some of the grain that we buy from the Midwest. It's not much, but certainly those are good problems to have. We're grateful for the business that we have and grateful for the support we get from our fans.
Yeah, no, very cool. And I assume you're just distributed nationwide?
Well, we're in 33 states and 8 countries now. So it's hard to support all of those different places. We're sort of about where we need to be now, or maybe too many, because we want to support the places that we're in. We're in California.
Oh, very cool.
So this is a really, really good market for us. We have wonderful distribution here. We've got wonderful retail partners.
I've seen you in the local retail stores here in San Diego.
It's all of California, I think, is the largest bourbon market in the world.
It is?
Yeah, I think so.
A good chunk of that's probably me, just so you know, because I do love my bourbon.
Yeah, good. Yeah, good. Just take an Uber everywhere you go.
Yeah. Uber and Lyft are my lifesavers.
There you go.
I take them everywhere, all the time. Yeah, no, very cool. Yeah, I need to go run out and see if I can grab a bottle. This is so. Is everything you do distributed in California, or I mean, it's obviously different by state, probably different.
Pretty much. Right? Obviously, the whiskey business, the way it's grown in the craft market is huge, and so they focus on that.
Right.
But I think everything that we sell is also sold here in California.
Right. And so yes, speak about that just for a second, because I put it online one time, and it's probably out of date. It was a couple years ago, but there was a chart I found that was kind of like the U.S. whiskey family tree. And if you went back up, basically all the whiskey and all the different bottles you see is produced by 4 or 5 producers, right? How does that affect you guys? How does that make the challenge different? Because you have these things that look craft on the shelf but aren't, right? They're just blends, or it's kind of like with Budweiser buying up these craft distilleries and saying, oh, it's still craft when it's now part of a bigger deal.
Well, I think we're very careful not to disparage any of the big guys. Really, because there's no need to. I mean, those guys make really, really good spirit.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a little bit different when the craft beer market came on, which was there was a void in really good beer. When craft bourbon came along, there was a lot of really great bourbon.
Yeah,
and so it's a very different sort of market than maybe the craft beer market was in. We try not to say an us versus them. We try to differentiate ourselves with maybe a different flavor profile,
right?
And to say, hey, they make a great product too. Here's what we do different. So a couple of things we do, right? No chill filtration. We bottle it at a really high proof. Why do we bottle it at high proof, right? Because it allows us not to chill filter and allows you to make a stronger drink if you want to have that.
Right.
So we try to make points of difference versus an us versus them mentality. And I'm not sure if they consider me competition. Maybe they consider every bottle they sell that's not theirs, they consider competition.
Right,
or maybe they just, I'm probably a rounding error for them.
That's probably true. Well, cool, man. Thank you so much for coming on. It was awesome having you here. And I got to go find me a bottle of that. That's so tasty. Because, yeah, I'm a pretty big bourbon fan. I get probably 20, 30 bottles at the house.
That's so.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on, and we'll be right back with Jim Harrelson too after this with some more great spirits here on Nicksology. Cool. Thank you, John.
Yeah, appreciate it. Great questions. Really great questions.
Cool.
Want to take that bottle?
Oh, I won't say no. Thank you, sir.
I guess that answer.
Yeah. Yeah, I love me a good bourbon. Sweet.
Never met. No, not yet. Yeah, you know, meet you in person. Yeah.
You want to keep me for a minute?
It's all up to you.
Yeah, it's up to you. You can go, I guess.
Yeah, just stay if you want.
Yeah, that's fine.
Anything
Sure. Hang on.
If something turns up. You want to keep them as well?
Again, I won't say no. Awesome.
Primary grain is peach wood and cherry wood and some peated. Yeah. I don't know if we did bourbon or not, but everything, we did a small release in 18 months.
Well, I know you won 2 things there.
Yeah.
That's right. That's what it is. It's under the cloth. There's
Tables are not low. Yeah.
You're supposed to shake up a good burger.
Pretty happy with it.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Yeah, thanks for coming on. Yeah, sure. Yeah, and I'll post some stuff up online, and as soon as everything's ready, I'll make sure you guys have the audio and the video. So.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Cool. Nick, by the way. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Do we have any official of these guys?
Did you want me on that castle?
I'm not sure, man. I have no idea. Keep it taking check?
Bill was talking about.
Yeah, Castle. I haven't had a chance to talk to him about that. Sorry, I've been around. What time is that supposed to be?
We're getting around 54.
Yeah, it's a small network of people.
So right when
This is I can go run through that. We could speak about it. Because I don't want to interfere.
Right.
Because if you have a mindset, right, sometimes you can just be a bachelor.
Yeah, because he sent me an email
Good, we have,
saying, "Oh, I've got it under control. I got my presentation, his PowerPoint. So I didn't want to. I wanted to ask you personally instead of just hanging out another representative. Let me go find him
Because today shouldn't.
Just don't. You want some help?
yeah, that's good. We got a couple.
Okay. So when we leave here, we'll
We can do
turn down the room. I've got his mobile number too, so I can call.
It's
amazing the money you guys spend.
It's like, don't ever have this. I'm done for a while.
That
I said the same thing. I just bought 17 acres of land.
That with buying up distillers. I don't know if they've come to here yet. Diageo and
Some have been bought, Stranahan's was bought by Proximo.
the Tuteltown by William Grant. But
Some, yeah. Well,
that was a joint.
it was just. Didn't they only they bought the brand, but they didn't buy the distillery. Same thing with St. George. St. George sold Hangar 1 to
Right.
Proximo.
Right. Oh, I'm just listening. It's no worries. Oh, we're back. Yeah, we're back.
You're welcome, John. Thank you.
All right. Welcome back to Nicksology. We're broadcasting live from the American Distilling Institute conference going on here in Mission Valley at the Town and Country. We've got Andrew Faulkner here with us, sitting tableside. We still have Henric Molin here. And thank you for offering me these. They're so small, I'm going to have to be really careful and dole them out, but they're so tasty. And then we have Jim Harrelson here from Do Good.
Yeah,
how's it going, buddy?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No, thanks for coming on. So I was reading a little bit about your background. You started in the brew world, right?
I was a dorky home brewer.
Home brewer?
Yeah. Probably.
Still am.
Yeah, probably on the extreme level. I had a very forgiving wife that allowed me to spend way too much time and money on my my home brew setup, and then I also had a phenomenal brewery in town that allowed me to hang out and pester them as much as I possibly could.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Cool. And then so what got you into the distilled spirits world?
So avid home brewer, and then somebody introduced me to good whiskey. I never really drank whiskey before, and as soon as I had good whiskey, I wanted to know how do you make it.
Right.
And then I discovered it's 80 to 85% of what I was already doing. So.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Just right, run it through a still.
Yeah, I just needed to finish what I was making. So,
right.
Yeah.
Whiskey is what beer want to be when it grows up. Right?
Absolutely.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. People don't understand that concept all the time. So it's. The distiller's beer. You have to explain it to them. But it's an interesting concept.
Right. So which one should I try? What do you recommend?
Yeah,
I'll try them all.
Yeah, absolutely. on the level of smokiness, I would probably start with the cherrywood smoked whiskey.
Okay.
That is the grain is actually smoked with cherrywood.
Okay.
But it's a single malt whiskey. We did a small release of some of our whiskeys at the 18-month mark. We make everything that we sell, so we have not purchased any spirits anywhere, and we do everything at 91.1 proof because I was a cop for 13 years, so it's 911. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so everything there
that's
is
hilarious.
We mill our own grain, we ferment our own grain. We stress about fermentations and distillation, and it's all made in house.
Oh man, that's really good.
Yeah, so that was started out as actually one of my beers I made at home. I would barrel age like a 10% alcohol beer.
Right.
And just worked out the translation directly into whiskey was pretty easy for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Well, yeah, the other thing I want to talk about, too, because we're running short on time. I ran over on the earlier segment, so I apologize. But you're doing a double hop IPA flavored whiskey. How's that going to work?
Yeah. That was another accidental fluke from a local brewery that we do a little bit of work with, and one of my really good friends. We were in the same dorky homebrewing club, 15 years ago, and they had some issues with fermentation, and so we ended up taking over some of their beer, and we've been distilling it, and we haven't released it yet, but we have had an incredible demand for it to be released. So that's one of those
sounds
things
really good.
Yeah, it absolutely worked out very well. I don't think we have any samples here. I think it got probably consumed the first day.
This is what we had.
It's already been drunk.
Yeah, I assisted in a distilling class at Old Harbor a couple days ago, and
cool.
I went to retrieve these, and this is what I found.
Yeah.
Right.
I think he left a few more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the cherrywood, and then we actually do a few smoked whiskeys, but.
Yeah, let's try the rum too. Sorry, yeah, we have 1 minute left.
Sure.
We're running up against it. It's totally my fault, by the way.
Okay, so the rum spins. This is our younger rum. It spends about 9 months in bourbon barrels.
Okay.
Then it spends 3 months in Pinot Noir barrels from Napa Valley.
Oh, that's interesting. Wow, that's got a really interesting nose on it.
Yeah, and it's got a little story because the 3 Mile was the international water line during Prohibition, and then we'll have an older rum which will be called 12 Mile because they pushed the water line to 12 miles so they could catch the bootleggers.
Oh, right. Yeah. Very cool. Oh, that's really tasty, man. I like that. That's good. And these are available, obviously, throughout California.
Yeah, our wholesaler is Southern Wine, so wherever Southern products are found. And yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. And where are you guys located?
We are in Modesto, California, yeah.
Modesto?
Yep.
I used to date a girl from Modesto. How crazy is that? I don't think most people know where it is.
No, it's where Gallo's home front is. That's whatever.
Oh, is that what's going on over there?
Yep.
Oh, cool.
That's
cool.
the home base for Gallo.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on. Sorry I cut you so short. Yep. I totally screwed up and ran out of time, but thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, Drew, for having us out here.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And we'll be back here next week on ESPN Radio. Thanks for listening. I totally screwed that up. I'm really sorry. I was looking at the clock and I should have been out at like 42 or 43 on the last one, and for some reason I had 47 in my head.